This video is going to take you through several different types of graphs that you can make in Excel and how you can calculate different kinds of statistics. So you want to have this going while you have the spreadsheet open from class. Then eventually you can take and just use this as a guide for adding graphs into your project. So what I have is some data, life expectancy and GDP per capita. There's quite a few values here. This would be similar to the size you'd want to get for your IA. You want to have plenty of information. So I'm going to show you a couple basic things first. In general, when you're doing a formula on Excel, you type in an equals, and then you type in the cell number you want to start with, and the cell you want to end with if you're accumulating here. So there's some built-in things. You see it pops up. It tells you double click on it. Says we need to list all the numbers. Well, I know the numbers start at B2. Go back up here and look. Start at B2 and they go all the way to B195. You see it highlights. You can also just highlight it. So it tells me the mean. The nice thing is once you get a formula in Excel, you can just drag that corner over. So I have the mean for both of those data values or data lists. Then I can do the standard deviation. Start typing in. And this is a population, this is a sample. We know the population here, so we're going to use that. And again, it's B2 to B195, or highlight it, and I can drag it over. Okay, so that's how you do it individually. You can do any kind of formula you want in Excel. You can type in equals, and you could say let's say I want to multiply the standard deviation by 2. There's no reason to do that, but B198 or B198 times 2, and it would just calculate it for me. So you can use the calculations that way. I want to show you Excel has added in a data analysis tool pack. If you don't have that, when I click on data, I'll see the data analysis tool pack over here. If you don't have that, there's a little video on how you can add it. You have to do it's an add-in that comes with it. But since I already have it, I'm going to go through it. So I click on data analysis, and there's lots of options here. I want to click on descriptive statistics. And it's going to ask me for some information. So it says the input range. So I delete that and make sure my cursor's there. And then I'm going to highlight all this data, including the label. So I have all that highlighted. It says labels in first row, columns, output range. This tells where you want to put the data. I'm going to put it right here. And then you can click different things. You want to click on summary statistics. It probably is not selected, so you have to select it. You click OK, and it does a whole bunch of statistics for you. So you see there's our mean that we already calculated and our standard deviation. This is sample standard deviation. We did the population. The thing doesn't know you have it. They're always a little bit different. One of them is dividing by n-1. So you have your range, your min, your max. That will be helpful later on when you're trying to make frequency tables. It helps you to get an idea of where to go. So you can do the same thing for the second set of data. Click on data analysis, descriptive statistics again. The only thing you're going to need to change the place that has the data, and make sure you don't highlight the extra things you calculated, and you need to change where you're putting it. So I'll put it right here. Summary statistics, boom. So then I have the values for GDP per capita if you want to make sure it matches. We already did the 18,624, 18,624. Okay, so that's the basic descriptive. Okay, so now go to the next tab, which is frequency table. So I've already copied and pasted my descriptive statistics. That's going to help me decide on the frequency table to make. And so I look at my data goes from 47 to 84.8. So I know that if I go by 20s, um, I could get all of the data included. This is kind of it's kind of weird. If I want to do a frequency table, this one's a little bit more difficult. I can go by 30. So I'm gonna type in 30, 60. Actually, I'll do 25. 25, 50, 75, 100. Okay, and I'll show you here why I did that. So those are the widths. So this is like saying 0 to 25, 26 to 50, 51 to 75. Because in the data analysis tool, you can select a histogram, and there's some information here it's going to ask you for. It's going to ask for the input range. And so I have to go back and highlight my data. So the input range is this. Those are my values. And the bin range, that's what I just typed in, were those bins. So those are my bins. It's telling it how wide each gap is. And then I have to click for an output range. And I'll put it right here. So what that's going to do is I'll click chart output just to see what it shows me. What that's going to do is it's going to tally those amounts for you, so you don't have to make a tally chart. And so what happened is, because my widths are kind of funky, they're all these values fell within this value. No, it says frequency there. It really means 25 has nothing in it. So I'd have to think about how I make those work. There's some other options there. It's not the best for data that has all these decimals like this. It's kind of close together, but it's something you can try. You can look at the second one. Notice the second one goes from 600 to 150,000. And so, I could maybe count it up by 2000s, make my bins. And go to data analysis. Clear out my spots. So this time I'm using all of this column. I put it in the wrong place. And I got to go back to where I put my bins. Output range, I want to put it somewhere different. Put it down here. I'm going to take the chart output off. So there's my frequency table. And it shows how much is in each count. And there's some things you have to work out with this. And again, I don't know that this is the best way to tally here, but this is the best I can do with what we have here for this data. And I'll show you a little faster way to get to it and work kind of backwards. But this is tallying these things for us. And notice there's this more category because I didn't make my categories big enough, so there's some overflow. So I could make that 16,000 or more. And it would go in there. Again, this is the hardest one to use, I think. Histogram. So I think this is an easier way to make the histogram is just highlight the information. Make sure I don't have the mean and median down there. So if you highlight all of this column, and go up here to insert, all these different chart types come up. You want to pick histogram, and it automatically, basically, it makes a frequency table. You could take this and make it into a frequency table. And once you get to this chart, there's lots of things you can do. You can modify it so it says what it's supposed to. And I want to right click and format this X. So I right click and it allows me to change my bin width. So I don't like 4.8. I want to make them equal to 5. I like nice numbers. And then it'll update things for you. You notice there's some decimals there. It went back to, and then there's overflow, and but now I've got it all modified, so it's going by fives. You just kind of got to play around with different items on here, but this is pretty good. So now if you look, if you like scroll over it, you can see the count. So you could actually make your frequency table by making histogram and counting backwards. Probably a little bit easier way to do it. Notice the parentheses means we're not including, so that's greater than, and the bracket means we are including. That's equal to. Okay, so you could do that for both of these charts. Just repeat the same thing. Scatter plot. This is something we'll be doing with our. This is bivariate data. There's two variables that are related, and it's really easy to do on Excel. I'm just going to highlight all of it. Not the names. And again, you're going to go to insert, and there's an option right here for a scatter plot. And so it plots all those points for you. So if you ever need to plot points, and so we're going to examine something. The relationship is called correlation. But there's nothing over here, so I would like to modify my chart. So I'm gonna right click on it, and I'm gonna make it start at 40, so that it's a little bit easier to see all the data. And you can label, you can mess with different labels here. There's all kinds of stuff you can put on here. So now the data is more in the middle of the chart, and there's something called line, different options here. But the other thing you can add, which we'll use later on, you can right click here and add a trend line. We want a linear trend line, and we want to display the equation on the chart and the r squared value on the chart. And you don't know what all that means yet, but later on we'll learn that. So you can drag it so you can see it. So this is actually the equation, if you put in your calculator, that's the line of best fit for the data. And that's what we will use when we calculate correlation. The other way you can do this correlation using your data analysis tab is there actually is a correlation question. It's going to ask you to input the data. So I think it's already on there, but I'm going to go ahead and do it just in case. And might have messed me up here. So this actually calculates what's called the correlation coefficient, or R. And you can calculate that manually too. If you type in equals correlation, and it asks for the two data lists. So there, my first list is B2 to B195, second list C2 to C195. There's my correlation. They even corrected my typing here. The last one is a pie chart. And for a pie chart, you need to have a frequency table, and you really need to have words. So I use a different data set here. Favorite ice cream flavors, and it's really easy to make a pie chart, highlight, insert, and then I shouldn't have just highlight without the title. Insert pie, and then you could change stuff. You can favorite ice cream flavor, and with this pie chart, you won't be able to print in color, and so this color is nice, but it doesn't help us. So I'm going to click on the graph, right click on it, and go to add data labels, and it gives me some options. So put in the numbers. I'm going to say format data labels. So I can put the percentage on there. I want to put the category name on there so that somebody doesn't have to have a color chart to see those values. So now we have the actual count and the percent. A pie chart is just a quick way to show a relationship on there, not necessarily the high level. That one last thing I want to show you is how to make a box plot or box and whisker graph. So I'm going to go to the scatter plot tab, and I'm just going to highlight copy these over. This is good for you to see. So I highlight the whole thing. I go copy, which is Control C, and you can make a new tab called box plot, and I'm going to paste it right here. You can keep reusing your data. The best way is to keep your data separated into tabs so you can use it different ways. So if I want to find a box plot for this, I highlight a whole column and I go insert, and I'm going to look here under histograms. There's box and whisker. So there's a couple things you know. It automatically puts outliers. It calculates a formula for outliers. So that little dot right there is an outlier. That X is the mean of the data. So box plot is the lower quartile, which is this number. The min, lower quartile, median, upper quartile, max. So again, if you right click on a data, you can format what you want to add there. So it'll put in the data labels for you of those values, which is helpful. And then you can do things to modify the chart. So over here on the chart, we want to show inner points, outer points. Exclusive median is what I would leave it on. You can not, if you don't want to show the outlier points, you can take them off. There's some other options. This shows all the points, which is really makes it confusing. You can take the mean marker off of there. You can make a mean line, and it'll show a mean line. Different items there if you want to do that. Inclusive and exclusive median. We want exclusive. I don't think it's a huge deal. You can make sure that it matches up to the median that you calculated. If not, use the other one. So a box plot's another visual that breaks your data into fourths. It's another way to look at range. We want to look at interquartile range versus overall range and see if there's a difference there. So Excel is really helpful. And we'll actually do another process on Excel as well that we'll learn later on called chi-squared. So this is all your basic descriptive statistics. There's more videos, obviously, that I haven't made that other people have made if you need extra help on any of those things.